All right. Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Giving double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Peace and salutations to the Akim, the brethren out there on the highways and byways pushing this truth with 100% sincerity. And peace and salutations to the few and sincere sisters who believe in this gospel. So I want to entitle this lesson, Reasons to Hate Esau Part 2, Economic Warfare Against Jake. And I did Part 1 2 weeks ago, and talking about the East St. Louis riots that happened in 1917. Well, not riots, but the East St. Louis Race Massacre that happened in 1917. And just bringing out some more local history here in St. Louis. And I want to talk about a town named Kinloch, Missouri, which is the first black incorporated town west of the Mississippi River. And yeah, it was a town basically with all Jakes, and it was self-sufficient, had its own business center, business district, and everything like that. And this time Esau didn't come in with violence, right? But they came in with economic warfare, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today, and kind of just go into some scriptures. And I got an article and I got a video. Lord willing, this is going to be edifying and straight to the point, right? So let's go to the article that I got first from the St. Louis American, right? And it says, whatever happened to Kinloch? And I'm going to read some of this. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read some of this, right? And it says, if things continue on their present course, this is what future generations will be asking. Did you know that there was once a predominantly African-American city in Missouri named Kinloch? The St. Louis Post-Dispatch ran a story on October 13, 1996, titled Airport Buyouts Threaten Kinloch's Churches. It reported that the buyout abatement program began in 1984 when the community had about 5,000 residents and 33 churches. By 1996, there were only 2,513 churches. But most have vowed to remain. And said in recent weeks, the paper ran a story that stated in its heyday, the city was home to about 11,000 people and a thriving business district with everything but a bank. Now it's overrun with gutted out buildings and streets filled with debris. According to 2010 census figures, about 298 residents remain. So you see, and this was in 2011. Right, this article was in 2011. It said in 2010, only 298, just a little less than 300 people remain in Kinloch, right? So what happened? It says, what I consider the original community, those have disappeared, said Wright, former superintendent, Kinloch Schools, blah, blah, blah. Right. So basically what happened in Kinloch, and I got a video, which I watched some of the video, but hopefully it explains more. But basically what happened in Kinloch is right next to St. Louis Lambert International Airport. That's the airport out here in St. Louis. And what they were talking about doing was expanding the airport across Interstate 170, because that's the interstate that separates Kinloch between the airport. And they were talking about expanding it, and they were buying out most of the homes that were in that immediate vicinity over there, or in that area. And what they did was they tore those homes down. They tore those homes down, ripped up the streets, and they just let the land sit vacant for a while until recently when I'm not gonna say recently, but I'd say within the past 15, maybe 20 years, they started building a bunch of warehouses on that land, right? But the way that they did it, they landlocked it so that you couldn't buy the land back, right? The land that they bought from those Jakes in that town, they landlocked it so that you couldn't buy the land back, right? And really what they do, they eminent domain your shit. They eminent domain your shit, and then they give you a little bit of money. And yeah, it's a lot of economic warfare tactics that Esau's also performed on Jake too, right? It hasn't all just been violence. It's been economic warfare and political warfare too, right? The same thing happened downtown where the St. Louis Gateway Arch is. It was predominantly Jake, self-sufficient Jake community, Jake neighborhood, and they forced all of those people out, either bought the land or eminent domained them, and they tore all their properties down, and they let it sit for like 20, 30 years before they actually started building the arch, which the arch was built in the 1950s. So in around the early 1920s, 1930s is when they bought all of those businesses and homes, or they took them from Jake, or they eminent domained them. And, with the promise that they were going to build some type of park or something like that there. But they let it sit for 20, 30 years, and then they finally built the arch, right? And again, this is something that happens, and it's like, this is something that happens all over here in America, aka Babylon the Great, where Esau has waged not only physical warfare against Jake, but economic warfare against Jake too. The same way Esau wages medical warfare, biological warfare against us, putting things in the food, putting things in the air, doing things to us in the medical field and the medical system and things like that. It's a lot of stuff that these fucking Edomites do, and are still doing to this day, right? So I'm gonna go to this YouTube video. Lord willing, we can hear the sound.
This is just absolute insanity out here. I've never seen anything like this. How are these buildings not torn down? Is my question. I visited Kinloch on a nice day when spring colors were in full effect. But outside of the new business park, that's about all the good there is to say about the place, because once we get into the heart of Kinloch, you'll see that just about every street is full of trash. Me personally, I've never seen anything like it, and that's saying a lot, because at this point in the journey I've seen a lot of messed up places, and let me tell you, Kinloch easily wins the trophy for having the most illegal dumping. They even have multiple streets blocked off with trash being used as barriers to keep people like me from driving through. Or possibly it's an attempt to keep more people away from using Kinloch as their own personal landfill. Where I begin the video, however, is technically a part of the city of Berkeley. We're just south of Kinloch, crossing underneath I-70. And when driving into Kinloch, if you're coming in off of the freeway, you're likely going to be entering along Hanley Road, and if so, you'll come across some newer warehouses, as both the cities of Berkeley and Kinloch have been trying to develop what was once an empty area. There's an Amazon distribution center along with some pharmaceutical companies, and there's a staple.
Skip around.
That's where all the positive things currently going on in Kinloch end, however, as we turn onto Reverend John Mitchell Sr. Avenue, which then turns into Martin Luther King Boulevard, as hidden behind all of these nicely groomed warehouses from Hanley Road is the city of Kinloch, or what's left of Kinloch. There's not much of a reason for anyone to want to be here these days. As you look around, most of the homes are demolished, while the ones that still stand have been taken over by nature. At the same time, most of the streets here are impassable. Also, there's no businesses left. There's just a few apartment complexes, and on the far northeast side of Kinloch, there's only one residential block left. There's also a couple of churches left, but that's about it.
And as you just saw, Salakia,
There's no businesses left.
I'm gonna go
There's
back
just
here, right? So as you see here, you see those warehouses right there. All of that was residential area, was a business district, and things like that they tore down and eventually built those warehouses, right? Then when you look to the north, where you see a bunch of those trees and stuff like that, and this is how bad it is. There's no homes. The streets are still there, but there's no homes on those streets. It's just trees and garbage. Trees, shrubs, vegetation, and garbage. I've been down those streets. I should have had the video prepared, but I got a video. I actually do have a video of Kinloch. Actually, matter of fact, Salaki, I do have a video of Kinloch from back at that time. Yep, well, not back at that time, but a video that I took about 2 years ago. So this is what Kinloch looks like. Residential street, because it's a lot of there's buildings and street lights and posts and all this on this street. Martin Luther King Boulevard. Driving through the streets. Kinloch, Missouri. I'm about to go down Ludlow Street for y'all. Okay. All right. And as you see, people just go here and they dump garbage, they dump trash and stuff like that in this area, because there's nothing there. There's no homes and nothing. Right, so I'm gonna fast forward through, because I went down another street. Couldn't even go down that street. Yeah, this is the reason why I say use all residential streets, because look, it's a house right there. Salaki, I didn't even know I was talking in this video. Salaki. But yeah, as you can see, just how desolate and just destroyed that place is from what it once used to be, right? And there's nothing there but just trees and shrubs. Even the houses that are there, they're covered in trees and shrubs and stuff like that, you know? And it's just a real, it's wild to see something like that that was once a thriving Jake community literally just go to desolation like that in a short period of time as well, right? So if you want to see this YouTube video, you can go, the title says, "This abandoned St. Louis suburb is full of garbage." It's talking about Kinloch, Missouri. You see the description and things like that there. So, you know, if you want to go ahead and see that video, you know, there you can go there. So I'm gonna go back here and get the scriptures. So look, I'm gonna start here with Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 29. It says, "And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee, right? So here in Babylon the Great, and this is what has happened here in Babylon, is we have been spoiled and oppressed. Our people has been spoiled and oppressed, right? And nobody has actually gotten us out of this state that we've been in, right? Nobody has gotten us out of this state that we've been in. Every major community, every self-sufficient community that Jake has tried to develop has been destroyed either by violence or by some type of political warfare or some type of economic warfare, right? Jake has been put down ever since we've been here, right? So verse 31, and it says, thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. Verse 33 says, the fruit of thy land and all thy labor shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always, so that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes without which thou shalt see, right? And again, Kinloch is a perfect example of the curses being fulfilled, because they didn't even destroy Kinloch with violence. They didn't destroy it with violence like they did Tulsa, Rosewood, and places like that. They didn't destroy it with just mob violence. They destroyed these things with political and economic warfare, right? And there's a lot of other communities, in America, in Babylon the Great, that were like Kinloch, right? Because you got to think, in all of these major cities, after the Great Migration, you had in the South, you had legal segregation, and I believe in the North you had what was called de facto segregation, meaning that it wasn't written into law, but it was just common practice, right? So all over America, Jake had to learn to be self-sufficient because Jake was ostracized or they were cut off from, obtaining any resources from Esau, obtaining any resources from the Edomites. And because they were cut off, they had to learn to become self-sufficient. So in just about every major city, Jake had a neighborhood or neighborhoods where we had our own businesses, had our own thing going on. And we had everything that we needed, grocery stores and things like that, right? But this damn devil, being as crafty as he is, a lot of times he didn't come into the neighborhoods with violence, with sheer violence and force. A lot of times he came into our neighborhoods, right, with a lot of times he came into our neighborhoods with just putting things into policy, putting things in changing jurisdictions, changing the environments. Another thing here in St. Louis, back in the 1930s or 20s, and I would have to look up look up an article on this. They basically created a plan. Well, they did it twice. They did it in the 30s or 40s and in the 70s. But they basically created a plan where they lined out all the neighborhoods that Jake lived in and all of the neighborhoods that Esau lived in. They said that, okay, the neighborhoods where the Edomites live, we're going to give them more than enough resources that they need. The neighborhoods where Jake lives in, we're only going to give them enough resources just to get by. And if you ride around St. Louis today, St. Louis is for lack of better words, it looks like a war zone. St. Louis and Detroit and these Rust Belt cities, you look pretty similar as far as the vacancies and the vacant lots and homes and things like that, right? Here's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48. It says, "Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee." Right? Now we know what that yoke of iron prophecy is talking about. That's talking about chattel slavery, where they put a yoke of iron upon our necks. Right? But with the destruction of our communities, with the destruction of Jake communities and things like that, today we have to rely on Esau for everything that we get. For food, for water, clothing, and everything. Anything that we want to get, we have to rely on these Edomites to get it. Because we don't own any major infrastructure here in Babylon the Great. So I'm going to go to Book of Baruch, and I think what I have, start at chapter 1 and 2. It says, Baruch chapter 2, starting at verse 1, it says, "Therefore the Lord hath made good his word, which he pronounced against us, and against our judges that judged Israel, and against our kings, and against our princes, and against the men of Israel and Judah, to bring upon us great plagues, such as never happened under the whole heaven, as it came to pass in Jerusalem, according to the things that were written in the law of Moses." So these things that happened to us have never happened to any other nation. This has not happened to the Edomites. This has not happened to the Elamites. This has not happened to the Ishmaelites. This has not happened to the Hamites, the Canaanites, or any of those black nations, or the African nations. You know what I'm saying? That are not of Israel, or that do not descend from, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These other people have never been through the things that we've been through, right? Nobody has ever had to go through chattel slavery in the form and in the methods that we've been to, because you got these Christians who try and make the argument with Deuteronomy 28 and 68 in the curses. Well, other people have gone into slavery too, but nobody has ever gone into slavery like us. Nobody was ever packed into cargo ships like sardines and shipped across the world to work for free every single day and to build an entire nation. Nobody's ever done that. Or no other nation has ever been through that. And then here in America, nobody has ever been through the things that we've been through. Moab and Ammon, the Chinese and the so-called Chinese and so-called Japanese, with their communities, nobody has ever, at every chance and at every way, has tried to destroy their communities here in Babylon the Great. They have their own sovereignty. They have a country they can go back to, right? They have a land that they can go back to. We don't. We don't have our own sovereignty here in America. Even the Northern Kingdom, they don't have their own sovereignty in America. Or in North America, for lack of better words. Because who runs these Northern Kingdom countries in South America and the Caribbean and things like that? Esau does. The Edomites run those countries. So Israel as a nation, we have no form of sovereignty at all. This is why in the curses it says, "No man shall save thee, or no man shall buy thee," right? Because, here, let me go here. Let me go here. This is Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 3. Actually, let me start at verse 1. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon," talking about America. "Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." Because all of this stuff that America has done, especially to the Israelites, is coming out and is being broadcasted across the world, right? One of those things that that really put Babylon the Great and its wickedness on the forefront was with Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, right? And all of these killings of innocent so-called black men that sparked riots, sparked protests and things like that. And with the social media and the internet age, it was broadcasted, across the whole entire world as it was happening. You know what I'm saying? So America, Babylon the Great, all of her secrets are being uncovered. Right? Verse 2, it says, "Take the millstones and grind the mill, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen." Right? It says, "I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel." Right? And that's talking about Yahweh Shai. Right? Yahweh Shai is not going to meet us as a man. Yahweh Shai is going to meet us as a angelic power. Right? He's going to meet us in his heavenly body. Right? In his heavenly body to do what? To bring destruction to Babylon the Great. To kill a lot of people. Isaiah 63, verse 1 on down. You can read about that. But Yahweh Shai is not coming back to, bring anything sweet. And this is why we need Yahweh Shai. This is why we got to have, this is why we do what we do. So we can prepare ourselves for the marriage. We can prepare ourselves for the marriage, right? And for deliverance. Because we can't make it here in Babylon the Great. We can't make anything sovereign here in America in Babylon the Great. Because it's always going to have piss in it. If you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? If you know what I mean, it's always going to have some piss in it. It's always going to be tainted. Especially nowadays, man. With all of the stuff that they promote and push, all of the wickedness and the degeneracy that they promote and push. We can't have nothing here. Better is the end of thing than the beginning, right? Better is the end of this place, man. So let me go to Baruch chapter 3. I'll probably end it off here. It says, O Lord Almighty, Yahweh of Israel, the soul in anguish, the troubled spirit crieth unto thee. Hear, O Lord, and have mercy, for thou art merciful, and have pity upon us, because we have sinned before thee. Right? We went through these curses. We went through the curses because we broke the covenant. The curses became fulfilled because we continually broke the covenant. We continually sinned. We continually went off and went our own way, right? It says, for thou endurest forever, and we perish utterly. O Lord Almighty, thou power of Israel, hear now the prayers of the dead Israelites and of their children, which have sinned before thee, and not hearken unto the voice of their power, for the which cause these plagues cleave unto us. Right, talking about the curses. Remember not the iniquities of our forefathers, but think upon thy power and thy name now at this time. For thou art the Lord our God, and thee, O Lord, will we praise. And for this cause thou hast put thy fear in our hearts, to the intent that we should call upon thy name and praise thee in our captivity. For we have called to mind all the iniquity of our forefathers that sinned before thee. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us, for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power. Right? And this is prophecy being fulfilled, man. Because are we not subject to payments? Brothers not have to pay bills, car notes, mortgages, child support. You know what I'm saying? All of these things that we're subject to, these things we got to pay every month. You know what I'm saying? Are we not yet this day in our captivity? Because we're not sovereign. We're for sure as hell not free. Yeah, do we have to work hard labor for free like we did the other day? I mean, not the other day. Back in the day? No, we don't have to do that. But the word captivity, let me go here. Let me look up. The word captive, it means made prisoner, enslaved, from Latin captivus, caught, taken prisoner, right? Or captive audience, right? Person or group of people who cannot leave and must stay and listen, right? It says one who was taken and kept in confinement, one who was completely in power of another. Is not Esau in power over us? Esau is in power over Jake. They decide what we eat. And you may think, well, I can go to whatever restaurant I want to go to. All right, what options are around you? When you look at the Jake neighborhoods and where Jake mostly lives, what options do you have? You got fast food restaurants. You got these Chinese places, the Chinaman. You know what I'm saying? You got all of these other spots that are not owned by you, where the food is injected with all of these chemicals, all these hormones and things like that. And you know what I'm saying? They basically get to dictate whatever the fuck you want to eat, whatever the fuck you eat. They dictate what neighborhoods you live in, what schools you go to. And they don't tell you this directly. Not now, not anymore. But they do this indirectly. If they want to keep Jake from a certain neighborhood, what do? They raise the prices. But now that's falling back on Esau, because Esau, they motherfucking ass, they can't pay that shit no more either. But the difference between us and Esau is we're used to living in a deficit economy. These motherfuckers are not. Jake is used to being in a recession. Esau is not. So as America crumbles and as America starts to fall, these Edomites, they're going to go fucking crazy. And the same shit, what do they always do? They always blame Jake for their fuck-ups. They always blame Jake for their hardships. So the same shit that we've been through in the past, we're going to go through again in these times. Right? But the thing about it is it's going to be thousands and thousands of times worse. Right? Because they're going to be in dire straits too. So look, Lord willing, is edifying and straight to the point. Giving our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash, Shalom.